Black ex-soldier was denied entry to restaurant and saved everyone during a shooting. He just wanted dinner clean, respectful, and dressed in his Sunday best. But the hostess glanced at his skin, sneered, and said, "We don't serve your kind here." Minutes later, as bullets flew and screams echoed through the restaurant, that same man denied and humiliated charged back in through the chaos, not for revenge, but to save the very people who had turned him away. And what happened next left even the SWAT team speechless. Before we dive in, please support us by subscribe, like and share for more with activating the notification bell. Thank you. Isaiah Brooks wasn't just a man trying to enjoy dinner, he was a war hero, a community leader, and a man who had given everything for his country. A former Army sergeant, first class with 2 tours in Afghanistan and multiple Isaiah carried himself with a quiet strength. Since returning home to Texas, he'd dedicated his life to mentoring troubled teens and helping veterans transition into civilian life. But none of that mattered when he stepped into Bellevue Grill that Friday night. It was supposed to be a personal moment. June 9th, his late mother's birthday. She used to talk about eating at Bellevue Grill, back when they could barely afford groceries. Isaiah had saved up and made a reservation to honor her memory. Dressed sharply in a clean navy shirt, slacks, and polished shoes. The moment he entered, he noticed the tension. A young white hostess looked up, paused, then looked him over from head to toe. She exchanged a glance with the manager before saying coldly, "Sorry sir, we're at full capacity tonight." Isaiah calmly replied, "I have a reservation." Isaiah Brooks, the manager, a balding man in a gray blazer, walked up and stood next to the hostess. He didn't smile, didn't check the system. "Reservations are subject to change. We're not seating anyone else tonight." Isaiah's brows furrowed. "I confirmed it this morning." "Sir, I'm asking you to leave," the manager interrupted. "We reserve the right to refuse service. Please don't make this difficult." People nearby started watching. Isaiah could feel the heat of their stares. His throat tightened, but he didn't raise his voice. "This about me being black?" he asked quietly. The manager shifted. "Sir, please leave the premises or I'll call security." Isaiah stood there for a moment, disbelief mixing with old, familiar frustration. He had defended freedom overseas, only to be denied a seat at a table in his own country. He finally nodded. "You have a good night," he said. He turned and walked out slowly, his dignity untouched on the outside. But inside, something old and painful stirred. He never imagined that just 15 minutes later, the same people who looked at him with contempt would be begging for him to save them. Isaiah walked down the block in silence, letting the cool breeze settle his thoughts. He had every reason to be angry, but rage wasn't his style. He believed in doing right even when others didn't. Instead of going home, he stepped into Darla's Diner, a 24-hour local joint known for its fried pies and warm hearts. It was a place that didn't care how much money you had or the color of your skin. The moment he opened the door, a cheerful voice called out, "Well, if it ain't Sergeant Brooks," said Miss Darla, the owner, a plump woman in her 60s with silver curls and the kindest eyes in town. Isaiah smiled. "Evening." Miss Darla got room for one more. "Always, baby. You want the usual, chicken fried steak and a root beer, please." He took a seat by the window, glancing back toward Bellevue Grill. From where he sat, he had a clear view of the restaurant's glowing exterior. He saw the same manager ushering patrons around, laughing with well-dressed couples. The same people who had looked at him like he didn't belong were now sipping cocktails under chandeliers. Isaiah took a deep breath and turned back to his table, then froze. Outside Bellevue Grill, a black SUV rolled up to the curb. 2 men stepped out, one tall and burly, the other shorter and wiry. They didn't look like customers. Their movements were stiff, mechanical. The taller one wore a heavy coat despite the warm weather. Isaiah narrowed his eyes. "That coat's too bulky. He's hiding something." Then the wiry one did a quick scan of the block. His eyes paused on Isaiah for just a second before he nodded to his partner. That was a tactical sweep, Isaiah thought. "This isn't good." He rose instantly, tossing a $20 on the table. "Miss Darla," he said, voice sharp, "get down. Call the cops now." Why? Isaiah was already out the door, sprinting across the street. He didn't have a plan, no weapons, no backup, just instincts and a burning sense that he was the only thing standing between life and disaster. Isaiah pushed open the restaurant doors. Just as the 2 men stormed in behind him, he dropped low behind a booth as the first gunman raised his AR-15 and screamed, "Nobody move." Panic exploded. Glass shattered. Screams filled the air. People scrambled under tables, ducking and covering their heads. The hostess screamed, One man bolted for the door and was immediately shot in the leg, collapsing in agony. Isaiah's heart pounded. He peeked around the booth, noting positions. The short man stayed in the dining area, keeping everyone herded into a group. The taller one disappeared into the kitchen, likely to block exits or secure staff. Two-man team, coordinated, semi-automatic weapons. Hostage strategy, not amateurs. Isaiah scanned the room and saw terrified families, a crying toddler, and the same manager now crouched behind the bar. Hands shaking, he crawled toward the kitchen, knowing it was the only way to break this pattern. On the way, he grabbed a fire extinguisher off the wall and crept into the back inside. The gunman was forcing staff onto the floor. A chef sobbed, holding a cleaver defensively. Isaiah didn't hesitate. Thump! He sprayed the fire extinguisher into the attacker's face. The man screamed, swinging blindly. Isaiah rammed into him, driving him into a stack of metal shelves. The weapon fell to the floor. They fought brutally, slamming into sinks, shelves, and storage carts. Finally, Isaiah slammed the man's head into the walk-in freezer and knocked him unconscious. He quickly checked for extra ammo, grabbed the AR-15, and moved toward the main room again. One gunman left, and dozens of lives hanging by a thread. From the edge of the kitchen, Isaiah crouched and observed the remaining attacker. He was pacing now, erratic, adrenaline rushing. He barked orders at people. One man moved too slow. He was pistol-whipped. A woman fainted from fear. A baby cried uncontrollably. Isaiah took a deep breath, then rose. He stepped out from behind the bar, rifle aimed, drop. He commanded with the power of a soldier. The gunman turned sharply, his eyes widened. "You," he snarled. "What the—" "I won't ask again." People looked up, faces filled with fear and confusion turned toward the figure who had returned to face down death, the man they'd rejected, now standing between them and a massacre. The attacker hesitated. His fingers twitched. Isaiah could see it. He wasn't giving up. Bang. Isaiah fired first. One shot, clean and precise. The man staggered and collapsed. Blood pooled across the marble floor. There was silence, then crying, then screams of relief. Some people cheered. Others sobbed. A woman crawled forward and hugged Isaiah's legs. The same manager who had denied him earlier sat stunned, mouth agape. Isaiah lowered the rifle and breathed deeply. For a moment, the weight of the entire room rested on his shoulders. Then, finally, he said, "Everyone stay down until police arrive." When law enforcement stormed in, weapons raised, chaos resumed. They saw Isaiah, black man, holding a rifle and immediately screamed, "Drop your weapon." "Wait," the hostess cried out, shielding him. "He saved us. He saved us." The officers paused, lowered their guns, and for the first time that night, Isaiah exhaled. The next morning, America woke up to a new kind of headline. Black veteran saves dozens in hostage crisis. Restaurant that denied him now owe him their lives. Social media exploded. Networks lined up to get Isaiah's story, but he refused interviews. He didn't want fame, didn't want revenge. He just wanted peace. But peace didn't come. Quietly, protests erupted outside Bellevue Grill. The owner issued a teary apology. The manager was fired. The hostess posted a viral video saying she would live with regret forever. Meanwhile, Miss Darla's diner gained massive attention. People drove from nearby towns just to eat at the little diner that had welcomed a hero. They brought flowers. Veterans showed up in uniform just to shake Isaiah's hand. Then came the biggest twist of all. A new investor bought out Bellevue Grill, an African-American woman named Idra Lewis, who had seen the story and said, "If this place can change lives, it should be led by someone who knows the value of every life." She invited Isaiah for dinner. This time, there were no excuses. No glances. No rejections, "Mr. Brooks," she said warmly. "Your table is ready." Isaiah smiled. He paused before stepping in. Cameras watched. Reporters waited. He turned, looked into the lens, and said softly, "Never judge a man by his skin, because the one you turn away might be the only one willing to die for you." And with that, he walked in, this time not just through the door, but into history.